1. Kentucky church shooting. 2 dead, suspect killed after state trooper shot in Lexington. 2. Deadly church shooting in Lexington. Trooper shot, suspect killed. 3. Shocking church shooting in Kentucky leaves 2 dead, 2 wounded. 4. Kentucky shootings. 2 dead, 3 injured, including state trooper. 1. Kentucky church shooting. 2 dead, suspect killed after state trooper shot in Lexington. Imagine a serene Sunday shattered by tragedy. 2 lives lost and a suspect gunned down at a Lexington, Kentucky, church, following an attack on a state trooper. This heart-wrenching incident unfolded at the Richmond Road Baptist Church, where 2 women tragically lost their lives and 2 men were left injured, all because of a single gunman's rampage. The chaos began around 11:35 a.m. Eastern Time near the Bluegrass Airport. A state trooper, acting on a license plate reader alert, pulled over a vehicle on Terminal Drive. In a shocking turn, the trooper was shot, and the suspect fled, hijacking a car and eventually ending up at the Richmond Road Baptist Church, some 15 miles distant. Lexington Police Chief Lawrence Weathers detailed this sequence of events in a Sunday news conference. But here's where it gets controversial. Preliminary findings hint that the suspect might have had ties to individuals at the church, though Weathers didn't elaborate further. The suspect then opened fire on people on the church grounds. In a dramatic confrontation, 3 responding officers shot the suspect, who was pronounced dead at the scene. While the shooter's identity has been established, his name remains undisclosed pending family notification. The deceased victims were identified as Christina Combs, 34, and Beverly Gum, 72. Interestingly, the Fayette County coroner initially misidentified Combs as 32. The injured men were rushed to the hospital, with one in critical condition and the other stable. The wounded trooper is also reported to be in stable condition. Contrary to initial fears, the first shooting wasn't directly linked to the airport, though it did affect Terminal Drive. Airport officials reassured the public on X, stating, "Our team is on site guiding passengers to open parking. All flights and operations are now continuing as usual." The Richmond Road Baptist Church, a small, close-knit community where many congregants are related, was the backdrop of this tragedy. Fayette County Coroner Gary Ginn highlighted the church's tight-knit nature, enabling swift family notifications. Nestled in the rural Old Richmond Road corridor of Lexington, the church is near a horse-riding school and an alpaca breeder. Described on its website as an independent, landmark, Sovereign Grace, missionary New Testament Baptist church, it boasts over 800 of the pastor's sermons online. Ironically, a sermon was being live-streamed on Facebook at the time of the shooting, with Pastor Jerry Gum mentioning death multiple times. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear urged residents to thank law enforcement for their rapid response. "Please pray for everyone affected by these senseless acts of violence, and let's give thanks for the swift response by the Lexington Police Department and Kentucky State Police," he posted on X. Other officials echoed similar sentiments, offering prayers and gratitude. "Praying for the Kentucky State Trooper injured today and all parishioners injured at Richmond Road Baptist Church," Representative Andy Barr tweeted. Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman and Senator Rand Paul also expressed their sorrow and appreciation for first responders. This incident raises profound questions. How can such violence be prevented in places of worship? Should there be stricter measures to ensure safety? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think more can be done to protect our communities from such tragedies? This report has been updated with additional insights. CNN's Sarah Dewberry and Susanna Cullinane contributed to this comprehensive account. 2. Deadly church shooting in Lexington. Trooper shot, suspect killed. In a shocking turn of events, 2 lives were tragically lost during a horrifying incident at a Lexington church after a violent confrontation with law enforcement. The suspect, who was ultimately killed by police, unleashed chaos across multiple locations in the Lexington area, leaving devastation and unanswered questions in their wake. If you've ever wondered how quickly tragedy can strike and how unpredictable life can be, this story underscores that reality all too vividly. The harrowing chain of events unfolded on Sunday morning when officers responded to reports of gunfire near Bluegrass Airport. According to authorities, it began around 11:40 a.m. on Terminal Drive, where Kentucky State Police, KSP, troopers had pulled over a vehicle due to an alert triggered by traffic cameras regarding its license plate. What seemed like a routine stop escalated into sheer pandemonium when the driver unexpectedly opened fire on one of the troopers before speeding away from the scene. But here's where things get even more alarming. Despite initial reports linking the airport to the shooting, officials later clarified that this terrifying act wasn't connected to any operations or activities tied to the facility itself. Instead, the suspect fled further into the community, intensifying the danger for innocent bystanders. From there, the suspect reportedly traveled to Bellwood Drive, where they allegedly carjacked a civilian's vehicle, abandoning their original car and continuing their desperate attempt to evade capture. This high-speed pursuit eventually led them to Old Richmond Road, culminating at Richmond Road Baptist Church, a location no one could have anticipated becoming the epicenter of such unimaginable violence. Once at the church, the situation took another devastating turn. Authorities say the suspect exited the stolen vehicle and began firing indiscriminately at people gathered on the church grounds. In response, law enforcement officers engaged the shooter, fatally wounding them. Tragically, however, 4 individuals were struck by gunfire during the attack. 2 victims succumbed to their injuries, 72-year-old Beverly Gum and 32-year-old Christina Combs, while 2 others were rushed to nearby hospitals for treatment. One survivor remains in critical condition, while the other sustained non-life-threatening wounds. Adding to the heartbreak, the injured KSP trooper involved in the initial altercation is also receiving medical care at a local hospital. Their bravery and quick thinking undoubtedly helped prevent even greater loss of life, though their recovery may now depend on the support and prayers of the community. While details surrounding the case continue to emerge, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear addressed the public through social media, offering condolences and condemning the senseless violence. Meanwhile, sources close to WKYT and the families of the victims identified the suspect as Guy House, though this has yet to be officially confirmed by investigators. Law enforcement has cordoned off portions of Old Richmond Road near the church as part of their ongoing investigation. And this is the part most people miss. Behind every crime scene tape lies not just evidence, but stories of shattered lives and grieving loved ones. It's a stark reminder of the ripple effects caused by acts of violence. So, what do we make of all this? Was this a random act of aggression, or does it point to deeper societal issues we need to confront? Could better systems have prevented the escalation? These are difficult questions without easy answers, but ones worth discussing. Do you think enough is being done to protect communities from similar incidents? Or should we demand stronger measures to ensure public safety? Share your thoughts below. Let's keep the conversation going. 3. Shocking church shooting in Kentucky leaves 2 dead, 2 wounded. A shocking wave of violence erupted in Kentucky on Sunday, leaving a community in mourning and raising urgent questions about public safety. What began as a routine traffic stop spiraled into a deadly rampage that claimed innocent lives and left others fighting for survival. But here's where the story takes a disturbing turn. This wasn't just a random act of violence. Investigators believe the suspect may have had a personal connection to his final target. The chaos unfolded just before noon when a Kentucky state trooper pulled over a vehicle after a license plate reader alerted authorities. Without warning, the suspect opened fire, striking the trooper before fleeing the scene near Bluegrass Airport. Bystanders, who happened to be en route to the airport, rushed to the trooper's aid, a moment of bravery that Chief Lawrence Weathers of the Lexington Police Department publicly acknowledged. The trooper, though injured, was reported to be in stable condition, receiving medical care. But the suspect's rampage was far from over. After carjacking another vehicle, thankfully without harming the driver, he evaded capture long enough to reach Richmond Road Baptist Church in Lexington. There, in a place meant for peace and worship, he unleashed another round of gunfire. 2 women, Beverly Gum, 72, and Christina Combs, 32, were tragically killed, while 2 men were wounded, 1 critically. The suspect's motives remain unclear, but authorities are probing a possible link between him and the church. The situation reached its grim conclusion when responding officers confronted the gunman. 3 Lexington police officers, acting in accordance with department policy, fired their weapons, fatally striking the suspect. The officers involved have since been placed on administrative leave as the investigation continues, a standard procedure, but one that often sparks debate about police use of force. In the aftermath, public figures like Senator Rand Paul and Governor Andy Beshear expressed their grief and gratitude for first responders. Paul took to social media to condemn the violence, writing, "Kelly and I are praying for all the victims, the injured trooper, and their families. We are grateful for the brave first responders. Violence like this has no place." Governor Beshear echoed these sentiments, urging prayers for those affected and praising the swift police response. Yet, as the community grapples with this tragedy, one question lingers. Could this have been prevented? And this is the part most people miss. While the suspect's actions were undeniably criminal, the sequence of events raises concerns about how easily a routine traffic stop can escalate into a deadly confrontation. What do you think? Should law enforcement protocols be reevaluated in light of such incidents, or is this an isolated case of senseless violence? Share your thoughts in the comments. 4. Kentucky shootings, 2 dead, 3 injured, including state trooper. Imagine the sudden, terrifying disruption of a peaceful Sunday morning, shattered by the echo of gunshots. This was the grim reality for a Kentucky community when a series of shootings left 2 women dead and 3 others injured, including a state trooper. The incident unfolded near the Bluegrass Airport in Lexington, sending shockwaves through the area and raising urgent questions about safety and security. But here's where it gets controversial. The suspect's motives and connections to the victims remain unclear, sparking debates about the underlying issues that led to this tragic event. And this is the part most people miss. The response from law enforcement and the community's resilience in the face of such violence highlight the strength and unity that can emerge from tragedy. Let's dive into the details of this harrowing event and explore the broader implications it holds for our society. At approximately 11:36 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, an unidentified shooter opened fire near the Bluegrass Airport in Lexington, Kentucky. The first victim was a state trooper who had pulled over a vehicle after receiving an alert from a license plate reader near Versailles Road. The trooper was wounded in the exchange, and the suspect, after fleeing the scene, carjacked another vehicle in the 3700 block of Bellwood Drive. The suspect then drove to the Richmond Road Baptist Church, where the situation escalated dramatically. Inside the church, 4 individuals were shot. Tragically, 2 women, aged 72 and 32, were pronounced dead at the scene. 2 men were also injured. One sustained critical injuries while the other was in stable condition. The local coroner and police chief, Lawrence Weathers, provided these details, adding that preliminary information suggests the suspect may have had a connection to individuals at the church. The shootings are still under investigation, and the suspect was fatally shot by police at the scene. The Fayette County Coroner's Office is expected to release more information about the deceased victims, while details about the suspect will be disclosed after notifying their family. Meanwhile, the injured state trooper is receiving treatment at a nearby hospital. 3 Lexington police officers fired their service weapons during the incident, and all had their body-worn cameras activated in accordance with department policies. The Kentucky State Police's Critical Incident Response Team is leading the investigation, with the department's Public Integrity Unit conducting an internal review. As per policy, the officers involved will be placed on administrative assignment pending the outcome of the investigation. Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky released a statement online, expressing his condolences and gratitude to the law enforcement officers. "Violence like this has no place in our Commonwealth or country," he said, urging the community to stand strong and support their Lexington neighbors during this difficult time. Fayette County Coroner Gary Ginn described the church as a small, tight-knit congregation, making the attack even more devastating. State Attorney General Russell Coleman also weighed in, stating that detectives from his office are ready to support local and state agencies. Today, violence invaded the Lord's house, Coleman said, emphasizing the shock and grief felt across the Commonwealth. As the community grapples with this tragedy, questions arise about the underlying factors that led to such a horrific event. Was this an isolated incident, or are there broader issues at play? How can communities better protect themselves and their places of worship? And perhaps most importantly, how can we foster a sense of unity and resilience in the face of such senseless violence? We invite you to share your thoughts and engage in a respectful discussion about these critical issues. Your insights and perspectives are valuable as we strive to understand and address the challenges that confront us.